Hey guys, this is the Chapter 6 preview. So we've got 4 goals today. Goal number 1, we want to review place value, tenths and hundredths. We're going to define the word percent. We're going to write percent as decimals, and we're going to make percent models. Before we do all that though, I want to talk a little bit about some abstract concepts, okay? So first let's talk about numerals. Numerals, we call them numbers, okay? So when we write numerals, we use digits. Digits are symbols that represent a quantity. These are the digits, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., right? So those digits represent a quantity. For example, this straight vertical line, that's a symbol that means one of something. When you see this symbol, your brain tells you that's one because that's what you've been taught. So we interpret that symbol in a specific way. When you see this symbol that starts with an upper curve, slant left, and has a horizontal foot, you interpret this symbol as two of something. So let's talk about the symbol that looks like this. When we see that symbol, that means nothing, no quantity. So if this symbol right here, that straight line, means one of something, and this symbol right here means no quantity, why does this symbol, the 1 and the 0, mean 10 of something? Why doesn't it mean 1 and nothing? Well, the reason it doesn't mean 1 of something is because of where the digits are placed. Where the digits are placed is the concept of place value. Every place that you put a digit has an inherent value, okay? So for example, if we just write a 1 and there is one place, that means a quantity of 1. However, if I added an additional place value, a 1, and then I put a 0 next to it, that digit 1 no longer means 1, it means 10. If I had a third place value, a 1 and 2 zeros, that third place value is worth 100. So that 1 is not 1, it's not 10, it is 100, and so on and so forth. So the place values we talked about are greater than one whole. We also use place value when we want to show less than one whole. When we want to show less than one whole, what we do is we use decimal place values. Okay, so we have a ones place. We always have a ones place. Here's our decimal. And we're going to talk about the two place values directly to the right of the decimal point. Okay, so the place value immediately to the right of the decimal is the tenths place. So this guy is the tenths place. Now what that means is it is that many pieces out of 10. How many parts out of 10 parts? So for example, 0.1 means 1 part out of 10, or 1/10. This is what the model of 1/10 would look like. 0.6 means 6 parts out of 10, or 6/10. And this is the model of 6 parts out of 10. Now when we move to that second place value after the decimal point, this is the hundredths. This is going to tell you how many parts out of 100. How many parts out of 100. So if I have 0.01, that means 1 part out of 100, or 1/100th. And this is the model of 1/100ths. 0.34 means 34 parts out of 100, or 34 hundredths, and this would be the model for 0.34 or 34 hundredths. So everything up to now has been review. Now let's talk about the word percent. So this is the concept we're going to be focusing on in this chapter. I know you've heard the word percent before, but let's really take a look at what the word means. So the word percent is made up of two parts, the word per and the word cent. Now you should remember the word per from last chapter, from unit rate. Remember we use per to mean one of something, like miles per hour. That would be how many miles in 1 hour. Per also means this phrase for each. So if I say miles per hour, that would be miles for each hour. What about the word cent? Think about that. What do you think that means? Think about words that have cent in them, like century, centipede, centimeter. What do you think cent means? Well, a century is 100 years. A centipede is commonly said to have 100 legs. There are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. There's 100 cents in $1. So cent means 100. So if per means for each, and cent means 100, what does percent mean? Well, percent means for each 100. Percent means for each 100. So it's comparing something to a group of 100. Okay, the first task you're going to have to do in this preview part is how to write a percent as a decimal. So writing percents as decimals. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start with a model, and you're going to count how many pieces there are. So I've got 3 columns here, and each one of these columns has 10 pieces. So this is 30. So this is 30%. The first step is we write it as a fraction. The numerator is how many parts we actually have. And there are 30 parts, so that's 30. The fraction bar is a representation of that word per. Remember, per means for each. So this is 30 for each, and cent means 100. So the denominator is always going to be 100. So we start with the percent, we write it as a fraction. This number becomes the numerator, and the denominator is always 100. Then we can simplify. Well, 30 over 100 simplifies down to 3 over 10 because they can both be divided by 10. And then think about it. Remember how we write these fractions as decimals? Say it to yourself, listen to the place value. That says the word 3/10. 3/10. So what that means is I need a 3 in the tenths place, which would be 0.3. So what you're going to be doing is step 1, you're going to count how many parts there are in the model. You're going to count all those yellow squares. That number is going to go here. That number then becomes the numerator. The denominator is always a 100. Then you simplify and then write that fraction as a decimal. You're going to do that on about 4 slides. After you complete those tasks, you're going to have a couple of blue slides that look like this. So these are going to be number frame problems. What you're going to do is you're going to go to one of the apps that we used more at the beginning of the year. I don't know if you remember that website, the mathlearningcenter.org, but each slide is going to have a link. You're going to click on it, and it's going to show you a problem that you have to solve. So I'm going to show you an example of how to do these problems. Okay, so when you click on the link, it's going to take you to a screen that looks like this. You're going to have a hundreds grid right here, and you're going to have a direction. It's going to say show and then give you a percent. This says show 40%. You can use any color counter you want, okay? It's going to default to blue and red. And if you want to change the color, you just click down here. You can change the color. And if you want to, go ahead, use frogs or butterflies, ladybugs, penguins, whatever you want to use, okay? I'm going to default to the squares though. So to show 40%, what you need to show is 40 parts out of 100. So you can either bring over individual squares, this will bring over a group of 5, and this will bring over a group of 10. So for 40%, I need 40 squares. So I'm going to start with 1 group of 10, 2 groups of 10, 3 groups of 10, and then 4 groups of 10. So there's my model for 40%. Then what you need to do is take a screenshot, and then you're going to paste it into the Google slide on the blue slide for that problem. So there are 4 of them. They each have a different link. You're going to do each problem, take a screenshot, put it on the blue slides. So this is what the finished product will look like. And after you complete the 4 blue slides, you're good to go. Let me know if you need any help.